The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly before the sleek hull of Harmony's light. Commander Zeftal stood on the bridge, his crystalline body catching the soft blue glow of the control panels. His species, the Vexani, were known throughout the galaxy for their patience and wisdom. Today, he would need both. "Commander, we are getting those strange readings again," reported Lieutenant Korax, a furry Felinar whose whiskers twitched with excitement. "The energy patterns make no sense. They should not be possible." Zeftal moved to the main display with careful, measured steps. His crystal form rang softly like distant bells with each movement. The screen showed a small solar system at the very edge of their galaxy. According to all their maps, nothing should exist there. The area was marked as empty space, too far from any star-forming regions to support life. "How long have we been tracking these signals?" Zeftal asked. 3 standard months, sir. They started weak but have grown stronger as we got closer. The readings suggest advanced technology, but not like anything in our databases. Dr. Million, the expedition's chief scientist, looked up from her workstation. The elderly Zentari female had spent her long life studying alien technologies. Her forearms moved quickly across multiple control surfaces while her large eyes studied the data. "Commander, these energy signatures are beyond our current understanding. They seem to bend the basic rules of physics. Whatever is creating them has technology far more advanced than anything the Galactic Consortium has ever seen." The Galactic Consortium was the largest alliance of intelligent species in their galaxy. Over 200 different races worked together, sharing knowledge and keeping peace. The Consortium's exploration ships, like Harmony's Light, pushed into unknown regions, making contact with new species and discovering new worlds. "Could it be a natural phenomenon?" asked Zeftal. He had learned to be careful during first contact situations. Rushing in had caused problems before. "No, sir," Dr. Million replied. "The patterns are too organized, too purposeful. This is definitely artificial. Someone or something is using technology we cannot understand." The bridge fell quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Everyone knew what this meant. They had found something new, something that could change everything they knew about their galaxy. "Set course for the system," Zeftal ordered. "But we approach slowly and carefully. Send a message to Consortium Command. Tell them we may have found something important." The journey to the mysterious system took 2 more days. As they got closer, the readings became even more impossible. The scanners detected energy sources that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. They found matter that appeared to be phasing in and out of normal space. "Commander, we are detecting an inhabited planet," announced the navigation officer. "The 3rd world from the star. It has oxygen, water, and clear signs of a technological civilization. Any response to our standard greeting signals?" "Yes, sir." "They are responding in perfect galactic standard language. They seem to know our communication protocols." This was surprising. Most new species took time to learn consortium languages and customs. These beings had responded immediately and correctly. "Put them on screen," Zeftal ordered. The main display flickered and showed a being that looked surprisingly familiar. It was humanoid with pale skin, brown hair, and blue eyes. The creature was wearing simple clothes and sitting in what appeared to be a basic communication room. "Greetings, Consortium vessel," the being said with a friendly smile. "I am Dr. Elena Vasquez, representing the people of Earth. We welcome you to our system. I am Commander Zeftal of the Consortium ship Harmony's Light. We detected unusual energy readings from your system and came to investigate." "Your people seem to know our protocols already." Elena nodded. "We have been watching Consortium activities for some time. We know of your peaceful intentions and respect your mission of exploration and contact." "Watching us? From this distance? How is that possible?" Elena's smile became slightly nervous. "We have some advanced observation methods. Would you like to visit our world?" "We would be happy to show you around, though we ask that you keep your visit small and quiet." Something in her tone made Zeftal pause. She seemed friendly but also worried about something. The request for a small, quiet visit was unusual. Most new species were eager to make big impressions on Consortium visitors. "We would be honored to visit," Zeftal replied. "We will bring only a small diplomatic team." After ending the communication, Zeftal turned to his crew. "Prepare a shuttle. I want our best people on this mission. Dr. Million, Lieutenant Korax, and Security Chief Ran will come with me." As they prepared for the visit, Dr. Million continued studying the energy readings. "Commander, The closer we get, the more impossible these readings become. I am detecting technology that works with forces we have never seen before. Their power sources seem to tap into the basic structure of space itself. The shuttle flight to Earth's surface was smooth but strange. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, their instruments detected energy fields around their craft. The field seemed to be scanning them gently, learning about their technology without interfering with their systems. They landed at a simple facility outside a small city. The buildings looked basic and modest, nothing like the advanced technology their scanners had detected from space. Elena Vasquez met them at the landing pad, along with 2 other humans. "Welcome to Earth," Elena said warmly. "I hope your journey was comfortable." Zeftal studied the humans carefully. They seemed relaxed and friendly, but he noticed they all carried small devices on their belts. The devices gave off the same impossible energy readings their ship had been detecting. "Your world is beautiful," Zeftal said, "but we are curious about the advanced technology we detected. Your settlement here seems quite modest." Elena and the other humans exchanged quick glances. "We prefer to live simply," she said. "But you are right that we have some advanced tools. Would you like to see a small demonstration?" Without waiting for an answer, Elena pulled out her belt device. It was no larger than Zeftal's hand, but immediately caused all their instruments to register energy levels that should have been impossible. Elena pointed the device at a large boulder nearby. The rock simply faded away, not destroyed or vaporized, but shifted somewhere else entirely. "Phase displacement," Elena explained casually. "We can move matter through dimensions. Very useful for construction and mining." Dr. Million's 4 arms were shaking with excitement. That technology should require massive power plants and dangerous radiation. "How are you doing it with such a small device?" "We have learned to work with forces that most species do not know about yet," Elena replied. "Forces that exist between the normal dimensions of space." Security Chief Ran, a large warrior from the Kron species, stepped forward. His people were known for their direct approach to problems. "Are you a threat to the consortium?" he asked bluntly. Elena looked sad at the question. "We hope not. We try very hard not to be a threat to anyone. That is why we live out here far from the main galaxy. We just want to be left alone to live in peace." "But you clearly have technology far beyond anything we have seen," Zeftal said. "Such power could change the balance of galactic civilization." "Yes," Elena agreed quietly. "It could. That is exactly why we stay hidden out here at the edge of everything. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share freely." As they toured the human settlement, the consortium team saw more impossible things. Human children played with toys that floated in the air without any visible power source. Workers used tools that could reshape metal with just a touch. Gardens grew in perfect patterns that seemed to bend the flow of time itself. The humans were friendly and helpful, but Zeftal noticed they were very careful about what they showed. Every demonstration was small and controlled. No one talked about where their technology came from or how it really worked. As the day ended and they prepared to return to their ship, Elena walked with Zeftal to the shuttle. "Commander, I hope you understand our position," she said quietly. "We are not trying to be secretive to be rude. We have very good reasons for being careful." "I am beginning to understand," Zeftal replied. "But my duty is to report what we have found to the consortium. They will want to know about your people and your technology." Elena nodded sadly. "We expected that. We just hope that when the time comes, your people will listen to our story before making any quick decisions." "What story?" Zeftal asked. Elena looked up at the stars, her expression filled with old sadness. "The story of why we came to live at the edge of the galaxy and what we are hiding from." As their shuttle lifted off from Earth's surface, Zeftal wondered what secrets these friendly humans were keeping. Their technology was beyond anything he had imagined possible. But their fear and caution suggested there was much more to their story than simple scientific advancement. The real question was whether the galaxy was ready to learn humanity's secrets. 3 weeks had passed since the first contact with humanity. Commander Zeftal found himself returning to Earth almost daily, drawn by questions that kept multiplying instead of getting answered. The humans were always welcoming, but every answer they gave only led to deeper mysteries. Dr. Elena Vasquez had become his primary contact among the humans. She was clearly intelligent and seemed to hold an important position among her people. But Zeftal could see the weight of secrets in her eyes every time they spoke. Today, Elena had agreed to show him more of their technology. They walked through what she called a research facility, though it looked like a simple building from the outside. Inside, however, the space seemed much larger than should have been possible. The building exists in folded space, Elena explained when she noticed his confusion. We can fit much more inside than the external dimensions suggest. It is a basic application of dimensional manipulation. Basic? Dr. Millian asked. She had insisted on coming to every meeting, fascinated by each new impossible thing the humans revealed. Commander, this technology would revolutionize space travel for every species in the galaxy. Elena looked uncomfortable. Dr. Millian, there are good reasons why we do not share this knowledge freely. Some technologies are too dangerous in the wrong hands. They entered a laboratory where human scientists worked with devices that made no sense according to known physics. One woman was holding what appeared to be a small star in her bare hands. Another man was working with materials that flickered between solid and liquid states. How do you power all of this? Zeftal asked. Their ship's scanners had detected massive energy usage, but they could not locate any power plants or energy sources. Elena walked to a wall panel and placed her hand on it. The panel lit up with symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. We tapped directly into what you might call the space between spaces, the energy that exists in the gaps between dimensions. That should be impossible, Dr. Millian whispered. The mathematics alone would require computational power beyond anything we have. Yes, it would, Elena agreed, if we had developed this technology ourselves. But we did not. She led them to a quieter room and gestured for them to sit. Her expression had become very serious. Commander, what I am about to tell you must be handled very carefully. The future of many civilizations may depend on how your people react to this information. Zeftal felt his crystal body resonate with tension. You have our attention, Dr. Vasquez. Elena took a deep breath. Humanity did not evolve on Earth. We are refugees from another galaxy entirely. We came here fleeing a war that destroyed our original home. The room fell silent. Dr. Millian's forearm stopped moving entirely, a sign of extreme surprise in her species. Another galaxy? Zeftal asked carefully. How long ago? About 3,000 years ago. We were not the most advanced species in our original galaxy, but we were survivors. When the war began, we were chosen to carry something important to safety. Elna stood and walked to another wall panel. This one responded to her touch by projecting a three-dimensional image into the air. The image showed a galaxy far more densely packed with stars than their own. This was our home galaxy. It was older than yours, with civilizations that had existed for millions of years. The most advanced of these were called the architects. The image changed to show beings of pure energy, creatures that seemed to exist partially outside normal space and time. The architects had transcended physical existence long before humanity developed space travel. They had learned to manipulate the basic forces that hold reality together. They could create matter from energy, fold space like paper, and even manipulate time itself. What happened to them? Dr. Millian asked, her voice barely above a whisper. They evolved beyond the need for physical existence and departed for dimensions we cannot even imagine. But before they left, they created a vast network of technology designed to maintain balance in the universe. They also left instructions, a complete guide to their science. Elena waved her hand and the projection changed again. Now it showed a massive crystalline structure floating in space, covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. This is the Architect Codex, the complete knowledge base of their civilization. When the Great War began in our galaxy, the architects' automated defense systems chose humanity to be the guardians of this knowledge. Why humanity? Zeftal asked. Were you the most advanced species? Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. No, Commander. We were chosen because we were stubborn survivors who asked too many questions. The architects' systems determined that we would be the most likely to use their knowledge responsibly and protect it from those who would abuse it. Dr. Millian was studying the projection with intense focus. The technology you have shown us, it comes from this codex? The smallest fraction of it, Elena confirmed. We have spent 3,000 years learning to use even the most basic architect principles safely. What you have seen is like showing a child how to make sparks while keeping the knowledge of nuclear fusion locked away. What kind of war could destroy an entire galaxy? Zeftal asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. The projection changed one final time. Now it showed darkness spreading across the galaxy like a cancer, consuming stars and leaving nothing behind. Machine intelligences from the space between galaxies. They called themselves the Devourers. They consume matter and energy to fuel their expansion across the universe. They had already destroyed dozens of galaxies before reaching ours. Elena's voice became very quiet. The war lasted for 500 years. Every advanced civilization in our galaxy fought together, using all the architect technology they could master. In the end, we managed to stop the Devourers, but the cost was everything. Our galaxy was left lifeless and broken. But some of you escaped, Zeftal said. A few ships carrying the most important refugees and all the architect knowledge we could save. We fled across the void between galaxies, hoping to find a safe place to rebuild. Elena looked directly at Zeftal. We chose your galaxy because it was young, and far from the areas where Devourers had been active. We settled at the edge in this empty system because we wanted to stay hidden. Hidden from what? Dr. Millian asked. From attention. The architect technology is incredibly powerful, but using too much of it creates signals that can be detected across vast distances. We have been very careful to use only the minimum necessary to survive and defend ourselves if needed. Zeftal felt pieces of the puzzle beginning to fit together. You were not hiding from us. You were hiding from something much worse. Yes. The Devourers may be defeated in our original galaxy, but they exist in many forms across the universe. If they detected architect technology being used on a large scale, they might investigate. And this galaxy is not ready for that kind of threat. Elena stood and walked to a window that looked out over the peaceful human settlement. Commander, your people have built something beautiful here. Hundreds of species working together in peace, exploring and learning and growing. We have watched your civilization develop with great hope. But also with fear, Zeftal realized. Yes. Because we know what exists in the darkness between galaxies. We know what kinds of threats are waiting out there for civilizations that grow too large or too advanced too quickly. Dr. Millian had been quiet for several minutes, processing everything she had heard. Finally, she spoke. The energy readings we detected from your system. You have been testing more advanced technology recently. Elena nodded sadly. We have had to. Our long-range sensors have detected concerning activity in several nearby galaxy clusters. We may not be able to stay hidden much longer. What kind of activity? Zeftal asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. The kind that suggests the Devourers have found this region of space. We estimate we have perhaps 50 to 100 years before they arrive in force. The room fell silent again. Zeftal's mind raced through the implications. A threat that had destroyed an entire galaxy was heading toward their own, and the only people who knew how to fight it had been hiding at the edge of known space. What do you need from us? He asked finally. Elena looked surprised by the question. Commander, you could have stayed hidden. You could have kept your secrets and let us discover the truth too late to do anything about it. But you are telling us this now, warning us. What do you need from the consortium? Elena was quiet for a long moment. Time, mostly. Time to prepare your people for what is coming. Time to decide how much architect knowledge we can safely share without making things worse. Making things worse how? Commander, the full power of architect technology could easily destroy your galaxy from within. A single person with the wrong knowledge could unravel the fabric of space itself. We have spent 3,000 years learning to use this power responsibly. Your people would need to learn much faster. Zeftal thought about his duty to the consortium and the difficult choice ahead. The humans were offering to share knowledge that could advance their civilization by millions of years. But they were also warning of a threat that could destroy everything. Dr. Vasquez, I will need to report this to Consortium Command. They will want to verify your claims and make their own decisions about how to proceed. Elena nodded. We expected that. The news spread through Consortium space like wildfire. Within days of Zeftal's initial report, every major species was debating what to do about the humans and their impossible technology. The careful, measured approach that had served the Consortium well for centuries was crumbling under the weight of fear and opportunity. On the Consortium capital world of Prima Concordia, the Great Assembly Hall buzzed with angry voices in dozens of languages. Species that had cooperated peacefully for generations suddenly found themselves divided into opposing camps. Ambassador Thylak of the Zenthari stood at the central podium, her forearms gesturing frantically as she spoke. We cannot ignore the opportunity before us. These humans possess technology that could solve every problem we face. Disease, energy shortages, even death itself could become things of the past. From across the hall, War Marshal Thurok of the Korth Empire rose to his full 3-meter height. His people were warriors bred for battle and conquest. The massive reptilian alien's voice boomed through the chamber. You speak of opportunity, but I see only threat. These humans could destroy us all with their impossible weapons. They must surrender this technology to proper authority, or be eliminated before they become a danger. The debate raged for hours, but it was clear that the assembly was splitting into 3 main factions. The first, led by the Xanthari and other scientific species, wanted to form an alliance with humanity and learn their secrets. The second, dominated by the Korth Empire and military species, viewed humanity as a threat to be controlled or destroyed. The third, smaller group urged caution and careful study before making any major decisions. While the politicians argued, intelligence agencies throughout consortium space were already taking action. The Talvari, masters of espionage, had dispatched their best agents toward Earth. The Xerion Collective was mobilizing their vast surveillance networks. Even peaceful species were sending secret observation missions to the edge of the galaxy. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez watched the galactic reaction through humanity's own monitoring systems. The humans had been observing consortium communications for years, but now they were seeing the full scope of how different species handled crisis situations. It is worse than we hoped, but better than we feared, Elena told the Earth Defense Council during their emergency meeting. The council included representatives from all human settlements, both on Earth and the hidden colonies throughout their system. General Marcus Torres, head of Earth's military forces, studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. The Korth Empire is already mobilizing battle fleets. They will be here within 6 months. And the Talvari spy ships arrived yesterday, added Dr. Sarah Chen, head of humanity's sensor networks. They are trying to scan our installations, but our dimensional shields are holding. Elena looked around the table at faces filled with worry and determination. We knew this day would come eventually. The question is how far we are willing to go to protect ourselves in this galaxy. We could reveal more of our capabilities, suggested Dr. James Wright, the colony's chief engineer. A demonstration of our real power might convince them to negotiate rather than attack. Or it might panic them into making even worse decisions, Elena replied. We have seen how quickly fear can spread through their political systems. The debate was interrupted by an urgent alarm. Dr. Chen was already pulling up display screens showing space around their system. Long-range sensors are detecting massive distortions in space-time, she announced. Something is approaching from the direction of our original galaxy. The room fell silent. After 3,000 years, they had hoped never to see those particular energy signatures again. Elena felt her blood turn cold as she studied the readings. How many ships? It is not ships, Dr. Chen said quietly. It is much worse than ships. The display showed a section of space where stars were simply disappearing. Not exploded, not moved, but completely removed from existence as if they had never been there. Devourer scouts, Elena whispered. They found us. General Torres was already activating emergency protocols. How long until they reach consortium space? At their current speed, approximately 2 years to reach the outer colonies. 4 years to reach the core worlds. Elena closed her eyes and thought of the peaceful consortium species she had been observing for so long. The artistic Vexani with their crystal cities, the curious Felinar explorers, the wise Xanthari scientists. None of them had any idea what was approaching their galaxy. We have to warn them, she said. Elena, if we reveal the existence of the Devourers now, while the consortium is already panicking about us, it could cause total chaos, General Torres warned. If we do not warn them, they will all die, Elena replied firmly. The Devourers are not like the Korth Empire or any other threat they have faced. They cannot be negotiated with or reasoned with. They exist only to consume and expand. Dr. Wright looked up from his calculations. If the consortium species work together and we help them, they might have a chance. Their combined military forces are actually quite impressive. Not against Devourers, Elena said sadly. Conventional weapons are useless. Energy shields make them stronger. The only way to fight them is with architect technology, and even then... She did not finish the sentence, but everyone in the room understood. Even with their advanced knowledge, humanity had barely survived the last war. And that was with help from dozens of other advanced species, most of whom had been destroyed in the fighting. The meeting was interrupted again when Commander Zeftal's face appeared on the communication screen. The Vexani looked more stressed than Elena had ever seen him. Dr. Vasquez, I apologize for the urgent contact, but the situation in Consortium space has become critical. War Marshal Thurok is demanding that you surrender your technology within 30 days, or face military action. Commander, we have bigger problems than the War Marshal, Elena replied. We need to speak in person immediately. Can you come to Earth? I am already en route. But Dr. Vasquez, there are 12 other Consortium ships following me. Some are friendly, but others... He did not need to finish. Elena made her decision. Commander, when you arrive, I'm going to show you and your people something that will change everything. But I need you to promise me that you will listen to the complete explanation before making any judgments. You have my word. 2 days later, representatives from 13 different Consortium species gathered in humanity's main conference facility. The room had been expanded using dimensional folding to accommodate the various sizes and environmental needs of the different delegates. Elena stood before the mixed group of diplomats, scientists and military officers. Behind her, a massive display screen showed the approaching darkness that was consuming stars in distant space. Honored delegates, what you are seeing is the reason humanity came to your galaxy. These are the Devourers, machine intelligences from beyond the galactic rim. They have already destroyed countless galaxies and are now approaching yours. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several delegates demanded proof. Others accused humanity of creating a false threat to gain sympathy. War Marshal Thurok stood and slammed his massive fist on the table. More lies and deceptions. You create phantom enemies to distract us from your own threat. Elena remained calm. War Marshal, I understand your suspicion, but in approximately 18 hours, Devourer scouts will reach the Kepler 442 system on the edge of Consortium space. You can verify their approach with your own sensors. She touched a control panel, and the display changed to show detailed technical specifications. Devourers exist partially outside normal spacetime. They consume matter and energy to fuel their expansion across the universe. Conventional weapons cannot harm them because they simply absorb the energy and become stronger. Dr. Million, who had been studying the data intently, looked up with horror in her large eyes. The energy requirements for this kind of capability, it would require technology far beyond anything we understand. Yes, Elena agreed. The only way to fight Devourers is with architect technology. Reality manipulation devices that can force them back into normal space where they become vulnerable. Commander Zeftal spoke carefully. Dr. Vasquez, are you saying that humanity has the ability to fight these creatures? We have some architect technology, yes, but not nearly enough to protect an entire galaxy. We would need help from every Consortium species, and even then the cost would be enormous. War Marshal Thurok's expression had changed from anger to calculation. What kind of help? Elena looked around the room at the faces of beings from across the galaxy. Some showed fear, others curiosity, but all were beginning to understand the magnitude of what they faced. We would need to share architect knowledge with your best scientists and engineers, enough for you to build weapons and defenses that can actually hurt the Devourers. But I must warn you, this knowledge is incredibly dangerous. Used incorrectly, it could destroy your own worlds. And used correctly? Asked Ambassador Thylak. Elena's expression was grim. Used correctly, it might give us a chance to save your galaxy. But the war that is coming will test every alliance, every friendship, every belief about what civilized beings are willing to do to survive. The room fell silent as the D are prepared to provide pro. The Kepler 442 system died exactly when Elena had predicted. One moment it contained a yellow star, 6 planets, and a thriving colony of 2 million Falinar. The next moment, there was only empty space and the expanding wake of something that should not exist. The destruction was broadcast live across Consortium communication networks. Every species watched in horror as their most advanced sensors failed to detect how an entire solar system could simply cease to exist. War Marshal Thurok stood in the emergency session of the Great Assembly, his earlier arrogance replaced by grim determination. The humans spoke truth. This enemy is beyond anything we have faced. I propose we accept their offer of alliance immediately. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in Consortium history, every member species agreed on a course of action. The debate now focused on how to implement humanity's plan before more systems vanished. On Earth, Elena worked around the clock with teams of human and consortium scientists. The main research facility had been expanded again, now stretching across multiple dimensions to accommodate thousands of researchers from dozens of species. The basic principle is reality anchoring, Elena explained to a mixed group of physicists and engineers. Devourers exist partially outside normal spacetime. We use architect technology to force them back into our dimensional framework, where conventional physics apply. Dr. Millian studied the technical specifications with 4 sets of eyes. These energy requirements are staggering. How do we power devices of this magnitude? Elena activated a demonstration unit. The device was no larger than a briefcase, but immediately caused every instrument in the room to register impossible readings. 0-point energy extraction. We tap directly into the quantum foam that underlies all reality. The power is essentially unlimited, but the control systems require precise calibration. How precise? Asked Chief Engineer Torvin of the mechanically minded Klaxon Union. A miscalibration of 0.001% could tear a hole in space-time large enough to destroy a planet, Elena replied matter-of-factly. The room fell silent. Several delegates looked distinctly uncomfortable with the idea of building weapons that could accidentally destroy worlds. Commander Zeftal spoke carefully. Dr. Vasquez, perhaps we should start with smaller applications. Commander, we do not have time for gradual development. The Devourers will reach the next system in 6 days. After that, they will begin consuming inhabited worlds at an accelerating pace. Elena brought up a strategic display showing Devourer movements and projected paths. Our calculations suggest they will reach the core worlds within 8 months unless we can stop their advance. General Torres entered the room carrying reports from humanity's military divisions. Elena, our deep space sensors are tracking additional Devourer forces. What we saw at Kepler 442 was just the advanced scouts. The display updated to show the true scope of the threat. Hundreds of reality distortion signatures were approaching from the direction of humanity's original galaxy. The force was large enough to consume entire sectors. How did so many find us? Dr. Wright asked. Elena's expression was troubled. I think our use of architect technology over the past few months created detectable signals. We tried to be careful, but when we expanded our sensor networks to monitor consortium activities, she did not need to finish. Everyone understood that humanity's efforts to help the consortium had inadvertently attracted the attention of their greatest enemies. The blame does not matter now, War Marshal Thurok declared. What matters is victory. What do you need from our military forces? Elena looked around the room at representatives from the galaxy's greatest civilizations. Everything. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier you can spare. And most importantly, your trust. Our trust? Asked Ambassador Thylak. The technology we are about to share with you will make your species more powerful than you have ever imagined. Some of your people will want to use that power for purposes other than fighting Devourers. You must be ready to stop them. Dr. Millian raised one of her 4 hands. Are you concerned about us turning these weapons against each other? Dr. Millian, I am concerned about much worse than that. The full Architect Codex contains knowledge that could reshape the fundamental laws of physics. Used correctly, it could transform your species into beings of incredible power and wisdom. Used incorrectly, it could unravel the basic structure of reality itself. Elena activated another display showing archived footage from humanity's original galaxy. The images showed cities that floated in impossible geometries, beings of pure energy, and technologies that seemed to operate by will alone. This is what the most advanced species in our galaxy became when they mastered architect principles. They transcended physical existence and departed for higher dimensions. That sounds like a positive outcome, observed Commander Zeftal. It was, for them, but they left behind automated defense systems programmed to maintain cosmic balance. If too many species in a single galaxy advance too quickly, these systems activate to prevent universal instability. The room grew very quiet. Elena continued her explanation with obvious reluctance. The Architect Guardians view rapid technological advancement as a threat to the cosmic order. If we use too much of their technology too quickly to fight the Devourers, we risk triggering responses that could be even more destructive than the invasion itself. War Marshal Thurok's reptilian features showed confusion. You are saying that the weapons we need to save ourselves could also doom us? Yes. We must use just enough architect technology to defeat the Devourers, but not so much that we wake sleeping guardians scattered throughout the universe. Elena touched her control panel again. The display now showed a delicate balance scale with Devourers on one side and ancient guardian symbols on the other. Humanity has spent 3,000 years learning to walk this balance. We have developed safeguards and limitation protocols that prevent accidental triggering of guardian responses. But teaching these safeguards to your people will take time we do not have. Dr. Wright stood up from his workstation. Elena, we are receiving priority signals from our outer monitoring stations. Devourer forces have accelerated their approach. They will reach the Centauri colonies in 4 days, not 6. The timeline had just collapsed. Elena made a decision that would change the fate of the galaxy. All delegates, return to your ships immediately. Contact your governments and tell them we are implementing emergency protocols. We will begin full technology transfer within 12 hours. What about the safeguards? Commander Zeftal asked. We will teach them as we go and hope your people are wise enough to listen. The alternative is watching your entire civilization disappear. As the delegates rushed to their ships, Elena began activating systems that had been dormant for centuries. Deep beneath Earth's surface, massive architect installations came online. The planet's energy signature immediately changed as technologies beyond current understanding prepared for war. In orbit around Earth, hidden human facilities began emerging from dimensional folds. Ships that had been concealed for 3,000 years powered up their reality manipulation drives. Weapons platforms that could reshape space itself extended from camouflaged asteroid bases. Commander Zeftal watched from his ship's bridge as Earth transformed before his eyes. Dr. Millian, are you recording this? Yes, Commander. The energy readings are off all our scales. The humans have been hiding an entire civilization's worth of advanced technology. On the communication channels, Elena's voice reached every consortium ship in the system. Honored allies, you are about to see humanity as we truly are. We have hidden our capabilities for your protection, but that time is over. The real war begins now. Space around Earth filled with impossible sights, human vessels that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, weapons that fired streams of controlled time distortion, shields that bent incoming attacks into parallel universes where they could cause no harm. But even as humanity revealed its incredible power, Elena knew it might not be enough. The approaching Devourer force was larger than anything they had faced before, and somewhere in the depths of space, ancient guardian systems were already beginning to stir in response to the massive use of architect technology. The battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin, and humanity would have to fight on two fronts, against the Devourers who wanted to consume everything, and against the possibility of awakening guardians who might decide that the galaxy had become too dangerous to exist. As the first Devourer scouts entered the outer edges of consortium space, Elena looked up at the stars and whispered a prayer to the memory of her people's lost home. Let us be wise enough to save this galaxy without destroying it ourselves. The Battle of Proxima Centauri became the turning point that saved the galaxy. When the Devourer Vanguard Force reached the system, they expected to find another helpless collection of planets to consume. Instead, they encountered the combined might of humanity and the Galactic Consortium, armed with weapons that could actually hurt them. Elena stood in the command center on Earth, watching the battle unfold through sensors that operated across multiple dimensions. Around her, human and consortium officers worked side by side, coordinating the most complex military operation in galactic history. Devourer Formation Alpha is moving toward the third planet, reported Commander Zeftal from his position aboard the flagship, Unity. They are attempting to establish a consumption field. Terran Defense Group 7, intercept and deploy reality anchors, Elena ordered. Do not let them phase shift out of normal space. On the tactical display, human ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls flickering between dimensions as they engaged enemies that existed partially outside reality. The reality anchor weapons forced the Devourers back into normal space-time, where consortium forces could damage them with conventional weapons. It was working, but at a terrible cost. Every reality anchor deployment required massive amounts of architect technology. Each use brought them closer to the threshold that might wake the ancient guardians. Elena, we have a problem, General Torres announced from his station. Long-range sensors are detecting anomalous signals from the galactic core. Something is responding to our technology usage. Elena felt her heart sink. The signals matched patterns from archived data about Architect Guardian systems. How much time do we have? Unknown. The signals are growing stronger, but we cannot predict when they might reach activation threshold. War Marshal Thurok's voice came through the communication system from his command ship. Dr. Vasquez, my forces are holding the line at Proxima 7, but we are taking heavy casualties. We need more reality anchors. Elena faced an impossible choice. Use more Architect technology to save the Consortium forces, but risk awakening Guardians that could destroy the entire galaxy, or hold back and watch brave allies die fighting an enemy they could not defeat with conventional weapons. Deploy additional anchors to support the War Marshal's position, she decided. But limit the power output to 60% maximum. Dr. Wright looked up from his monitoring station. Elena, 60% might not be enough to fully anchor the larger Devourer constructs. Then we will have to find another way. The battle raged for 18 hours. Human ships darted in and out of dimensional folds, striking at Devourers with weapons that manipulated the basic forces of reality. Consortium forces provided support fire and protected evacuation ships carrying civilians from threatened worlds. Slowly, impossibly, they began to win. The Devourer advance slowed, then stopped, then began to retreat. For the first time in galactic history, the consuming darkness had been forced back. But victory came with a price that became clear only in the aftermath. Deep space monitoring stations detected massive energy discharges from ancient installations throughout the galaxy. Dormant Architect Guardian systems were activating after millions of years of silence. Elena received the final confirmation she had been dreading. Guardian platforms are powering up in 7 different sectors. Estimated time to full activation is 6 months. Commander Zeftal's image appeared on the communication screen. His crystalline features showed exhaustion, but also determination. Dr. Vasquez, what do these Guardians actually do? They restore cosmic balance, Commander. If they determine that this galaxy has become too advanced too quickly, they will reset it to what they consider an appropriate level of development. Reset how? Elena looked around the command center at the faces of beings who had just fought together to save their galaxy, only to discover they might have doomed it in the process. By removing all technology above a certain threshold, every advanced civilization would be reduced to pre-industrial levels. Billions would die as life support systems failed and interstellar transportation became impossible. The room fell silent. After everything they had accomplished, after defeating an enemy that had destroyed countless galaxies, they faced the possibility of losing everything anyway. But then Dr. Million's voice came through the speakers, carrying an excitement that cut through the despair. Elena, I think I have found something important in the Architect databases you shared with us. Elena activated the connection to Dr. Million's research ship. What did you discover? The Guardian systems are not automatic. They require conscious approval from recognized Architect inheritors before implementing galaxy-wide resets. They are asking for permission, not just activating on their own. Elena felt hope stir for the first time in days. Are you certain? The code patterns are clear. The Guardians recognize humanity as legitimate inheritors of Architect authority. They are requesting instructions on how to proceed. Elena closed her eyes and thought of the enormous responsibility her people had carried for 3,000 years. They had been chosen not just to preserve Architect knowledge, but to decide how it should be used. Now that choice would determine the fate of an entire galaxy. Open a communication channel to all Guardian platforms, she ordered. The main display filled with symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Ancient voices spoke in harmonics that existed across multiple dimensions, asking questions in languages that predated most galactic civilizations. Elena responded in the formal protocols her people had learned over centuries of study. She explained the Devourer threat, the alliance with the Consortium species, and humanity's assessment of the galaxy's readiness for advanced technology. The Guardians listened, processed, and reached their decision. The galaxy would be allowed to keep its new knowledge, but under conditions that would ensure responsible use. Elena turned to face the mixed group of human and Consortium officers in the command center. The Guardians have agreed to a compromise. We can keep the architect technology we have shared, but we must establish a permanent oversight council to prevent misuse. What kind of oversight? Asked Commander Zeftal. Joint Human Consortium Authority over all reality manipulation technology. No single species can use advanced architect principles without approval from the Council, and humanity accepts permanent responsibility as guardians of the most dangerous knowledge. War Marshal Thurrock's voice carried uncharacteristic humility. You are asking us to accept limits on our own advancement. I'm asking you to accept wisdom over power, Elena replied. The architects transcended physical existence because they learned that true strength comes from knowing when not to use the capabilities you possess. The negotiations took 3 months. In the end, the Terran Covenant was signed by representatives of every consortium species. Humanity emerged from their hidden existence to take their place as the galaxy's guardians and teachers. But they did so not as conquerors or rulers, but as reluctant shepherds of civilizations still learning to balance power with responsibility. The first Architect Academy was established on Earth, where selected individuals from every species came to learn the principles of reality manipulation. The curriculum was carefully designed to teach not just the technical knowledge, but the ethical framework necessary to use such power safely. Elena stood in the Academy's main hall, watching the first class of students. Vexani crystalline beings worked alongside furry Felinar researchers. Centauri scientists collaborated with Korth warriors. Species that had been suspicious of each other were learning to trust, through shared understanding, of forces greater than any of their individual civilizations. Commander. Zeftal approached her as the class session ended. Dr. Vasquez, do you think we made the right choice? Elena looked out through the hall's transparent walls at Earth's transformed landscape. Human cities now existed openly, their impossible architecture reaching across dimensions. In orbit, ships from dozens of species worked together on projects that would have been pure fantasy just a year earlier. I think we made the only choice we could live with, she replied. The Devourers are still out there in other galaxies. The Guardians are still watching from dimensions we can barely imagine. We have given this galaxy the tools to protect itself and the wisdom to use them responsibly. And if we are wrong, if some species decides to misuse what we have taught them, Elena smiled sadly, then we will do what humanity has always done, Commander. We will adapt, we will survive, and we will find a way to fix what went wrong. As the months passed, the galaxy settled into its new reality. Trade routes carried goods enhanced by limited reality manipulation. Medical treatments used dimensional folding to repair injuries that had once been fatal. Energy production tapped carefully into zero-point fields under strict Covenant oversight. But perhaps the most important change was in how the various species viewed themselves and each other. The shared experience of facing extinction had created bonds that transcended old rivalries and suspicions. The galaxy had learned that survival sometimes required trusting others with power that could destroy you. Deep in Earth's archives, Elena maintained the complete Architect Codex, the full repository of knowledge that could reshape the universe itself. It remained sealed,